There is a hidden truth about human nature that most people will never dare to speak out loud. A truth that quietly decides who gets respected, who gets ignored, and who gets obeyed. In every room, in every relationship, in every social circle, there is always one person who carries an invisible power. They don't raise their voice, they don't threaten, they don't force. Yet people listen to them instantly. That power isn't luck, it isn't charm, it is a dark psychological skill, the ability to control the emotional environment of others. Because humans don't obey logic, they obey emotion. And the person who controls emotion controls behavior. Let me show you the four realities of this power that most people never understand. Deep inside every human mind exists an unshakable need for stability, for guidance, for certainty. Life is chaotic, emotions are unpredictable, and the world constantly bombards us with decisions we cannot fully understand. In the middle of this storm, humans instinctively seek a steady presence, someone who knows the way and radiates confidence. When people encounter someone who speaks with unwavering certainty, who acts with calm conviction while others are confused, they are drawn to them. This is not manipulation in the ordinary sense. It is an understanding of how human psychology works at its core. Certainty is magnetic because it signals safety. Our brains are wired to seek it, and when we perceive it in another person, we unconsciously defer to them, even when we do not fully agree. Even when we know logically that their path may not be the only path, our emotional wiring pushes us to follow. The tone of your voice, the deliberate pacing of your words, the steady gaze you maintain, all of these act as signals to the subconscious mind of those around you. If they sense hesitation, doubt, or insecurity, they feel uneasy, lost, and resistant. But if you carry calm assurance, you become the anchor in their storm. People do not obey logic or reasoning as much as they obey the energy that resonates with their deepest need for security. In fact, the more uncertain the people around you are, the stronger this effect becomes. Even subtle shifts in your body language, the way you pause before answering, the way you maintain composure under pressure, all of this communicates certainty on a level deeper than words. The mind craves it, and the heart follows. Those who understand this principle hold a silent, invisible power. They do not need to force obedience or demand compliance because their very presence commands attention and respect. By mastering the art of projecting unwavering confidence and certainty, you tap into one of the most fundamental forces of human behavior. People instinctively follow those who seem to know the way, and when you become that figure, you wield influence almost effortlessly, shaping decisions, guiding actions, and inspiring trust, all without needing to utter a single forceful command. Most people think influence comes from power, force, or authority. But the deeper truth lies in understanding the hidden fears that live inside every human heart. Every person carries insecurities they refuse to show, anxieties they bury deep, and fears they avoid even admitting to themselves. These fears control more of their decisions than they realize. When you have the ability to mirror those hidden emotions, even subtly, people feel an almost magnetic pull toward you. It is not about mocking or exposing them cruelly. It is about reflecting the unspoken truths they are too afraid to express. When someone feels that you understand what they fear, their subconscious interprets you as a safe vessel, someone who sees them, acknowledges them, and silently validates their inner turmoil. This is the core of emotional obedience. Once people sense that someone truly perceives their private fears, they begin to trust them instinctively. Their resistance fades, replaced by an unconscious desire to follow and align with the person who gets them. This skill works because humans are wired to seek connection in the midst of vulnerability. When fear is recognized, it triggers a complex mix of relief and submission. Suddenly, you are not just another person in the room, you are the one who understands what no one else does. People will listen more closely to your words, accept your suggestions more readily, and respond to your guidance as if it were a lifeline. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet incredibly powerful. You do not need to use loud commands or overt manipulation. All that is required is the ability to identify the hidden fears and respond in a way that validates them, even indirectly. The moment they feel that recognition, their emotional defenses lower. They begin to follow not because they are forced, but because they see you as someone who comprehends the unspoken, the invisible, the shadows within them. Mirroring fear is not about cruelty, it is about emotional insight, the ability to perceive what lies beneath the surface. Those who master this skill wield influence in a way that is almost effortless, because people naturally obey those who acknowledge their inner realities, even before they consciously realize it. Understanding and reflecting hidden fears is a doorway to subtle authority, a dark yet profoundly human psychological principle that makes obedience feel natural, inevitable, and almost unavoidable. Human beings are wired to recognize hierarchy, even when it is unspoken or invisible. Obedience often flows not from force or direct commands, but from subtle cues that suggest dominance, authority, or superiority. You do not need to raise your voice, issue threats, or assert yourself verbally to make someone yield to your influence. The truth is, your presence alone can communicate power, control, and status, and the human mind instinctively responds to it. How you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room, the calmness in your tone, the deliberate slowness of your movements, all of these signal authority without ever needing words. People feel it in the silence, in the pauses, in the way you make eye contact or choose not to react instantly. When someone senses that you are above them in confidence or control, even subtly, they begin to adjust their behavior unconsciously. They speak differently, they act cautiously, they measure their words, all without realizing that they are being influenced. This is because humans are hardwired to conserve energy and avoid conflict with perceived superior forces. Obedience becomes a natural response, a psychological shortcut to maintain safety and social alignment. The beauty of this skill is that it works quietly, invisibly, and continuously. You don't need to dominate or intimidate. Instead, you create an aura of competence, calmness, and measured authority that naturally positions you at the top of an unspoken hierarchy. Those around you sense this superiority and unconsciously accept your lead. You may never need to demand obedience, because it flows to you voluntarily. The subtle projection of power also exploits the natural human tendency to compare oneself to others. When someone feels slightly smaller, slower, or less composed than you, their mind seeks guidance, direction, and approval from the one who appears in control. This is why silent presence, measured expression, and deliberate restraint in reactions are some of the most powerful tools in dark psychology. By making others feel inferior without a single word, you tap into a primal, instinctive mechanism of human behavior, one that encourages compliance, reduces resistance, and ensures that your influence spreads effortlessly. This is not about arrogance, it is about understanding human nature, recognizing the silent levers of obedience, and positioning yourself as the emotional anchor others instinctively follow. One of the most powerful and invisible skills in human influence is the ability to control the tempo of any interaction. Humans are not just reacting to words, they are reacting to rhythm, energy, and pace. Every conversation, every meeting, every social exchange has an unconscious heartbeat, a flow that people instinctively follow. Those who learn to master this rhythm can subtly guide, influence, and even command obedience without overt force. When you slow down your speech, pause deliberately, or take your time to respond, the listener's mind begins to chase your tempo. Their thoughts accelerate to fill the silence, their attention sharpens, and they unconsciously adjust to your pace. Conversely, when you speed up, increase energy, or create urgency in your movements, others instinctively match it, responding to your emotional cues rather than your words. This is not mere manipulation, it is alignment with the natural psychology of the human nervous system. By controlling tempo, you become the emotional metronome of the interaction. People begin to measure themselves against you, respond to you, and even obey you without realizing why. It creates an unspoken authority because humans are wired to follow the rhythm set by the perceived leader. The subtlety of this skill is what makes it so effective. You do not need to raise your voice, assert dominance, or issue commands. A slow, confident gesture, a measured pause, a deliberate change in energy, all of these communicate control and influence at a deep psychological level. People obey not out of fear, but because their own minds are adjusting to your emotional cadence. The more consciously you manipulate tempo, the stronger the effect becomes. You can accelerate compliance, heighten attention, and and direct behavior simply by controlling the flow of interaction. Those who understand this principle wield a form of invisible power that most people never notice until it is too late. They shape outcomes, influence decisions, and guide actions effortlessly. Controlling tempo is more than a skill, it is the art of mastering human instinct, emotion, and behavior simultaneously. When you become the one who sets the pace, others naturally fall into step, creating obedience that feels organic, inevitable, and unstoppable. It is one of the deepest, most potent tools in dark psychology, a skill that turns presence into authority, silence into command, and timing into influence. The world thinks obedience comes from force, but the real truth is this: people obey the one who understands their emotional wiring better than they understand themselves. The mastery of certainty, the exposure of hidden fear, the silent projection of power, the control of tempo. These 4 dark psychological skills are not magic. They are human nature, and the one who learns them becomes the one others obey.